Welcome to Greenville Update 1.26, the 2022 Halloween update. Right off the bat, the map was decorated with a bunch of stuff, like pumpkins at the dealership. Continuing with the pumpkin theme, some pumpkin ornaments hang off light posts, which also light up during the night, just like this. There are many of them, as you can probably see all the way down Greenville Drive. There's also a pretty prominent new area that's added to the game too, the pumpkin patch. This pumpkin patch is located at Cats Park right over here. Just go into the main entrance, there's a pumpkin to greet you. Overflow, I guess. Actually, there's two. There's a small one over there. A bunch of big ones over here, lots of big ones. It's located right off of where this gravel path is. Let's come up here and there is a lot of pumpkins, as you might expect from a pumpkin patch. I like it. I think it's gonna be pretty cool for some photos. They have quite literally hundreds and hundreds of these. They just line the sidewalk. And then you've also got this over here, a bunch scattered around the entire field in kind of an orderly fashion. There's rows and rows of them with some bushes in between. Kind of makes you wonder how they transported these here, because like 20 minutes ago this is just an empty field. But yeah, anyway, there are two wagons filled with even more pumpkins. There's one here and there's one over by the entrance over there. Yeah, that's a pumpkin patch. There's not too much to go over here, but it's a pumpkin patch. Then of course you got the biggest thing in this update, the Halloween event, which, how do you get there? Well, I mean, just like right there. There's a detective literally standing there pointing at you as you spawn in the game. Walk up to him and he has some stuff to say to you. Hold down E to start the event. We need your help. The bunny is back and this time he has plans to ruin Halloween. Help me capture him to save Halloween. The bunny was driving and crashed his car. We found the wreck, but we need your help to gather some items for our investigation. We should start with the car keys. Then it gives you a little bit of information as to where it is. I won't be showing too much of how to get everything in this video, but I'll show you where the bunny's hideout house place is, just right across from the graveyard, which you'll end up needing to know where it is at some point in the story along your way to retrieve all the parts for this mission. It's got some spooky decorations outside of it, and the windows are not see-through. It's just a prop house, and then down here is where the actual stuff is. It's got some pumpkins, got the spider. It's rusted out, you know. It's just a normal house with some weird stuff on it, like a boarded up garage door for some reason. That's the house. Have fun figuring out all this, and for the reward, you get a pretty cool car, but I won't spoil anything for that. Next up to show off, one app in the phone has been redone and looks so much better. The vehicle app. Have no vehicle spawn, which I don't right now, and it'll just say no vehicle spawn. So spawn out a car and it'll show you all the details, lock/unlock, which will now toggle all of your seats at once instead of just opening up the same menu you can get from here and opening up them individually. Currently they're all locked, and then I press this, they're all now unlocked. Every vehicle now has a specific lock sound, depending on the brand. Let's try out the Raptor. Panic, you have to hold it down now. And then just hit the lock button to turn it off. Nice and quiet. Let's try the Porsche. Let's try the G-Wagon. Let's try my Corvette. It tells you how many seats are occupied. So let me get in it real quick. Yep, one of the two seats occupied. It tells you the color specifically. It also tells you the amount of fuel you have at the bottom there, in the percentage as well. Just generally the UI looks a lot nicer, and I'm excited to potentially see new designs come to other apps in the future as well. And aside from that, there's been some minor changes, like more locations were added in the navigation app on the phone, search places, some of these weren't here before. New songs were added to the dealership and the title screen. Adaptive cruise control from last update was already entirely reworked to work much better. And yeah, that really seems like everything to go over with this update besides, well, the cars. This time around there's 16 new vehicles in the dealership, still quite a few. Nearly fills up my entire screen. A couple cars to go over briefly, two classics, the 1958 Plymouth Fury and the 1967 Austin Healey 3000. Two vans, a remodeled 2008 Dodge Grand Caravan, the Cheesemobile, and the 2008 Chrysler Town & Country. Two Audis, the 2018 A3 and RS3, a needed remodel, and then two updated vehicles, the remodeled 2021 BMW 7 Series, and the 2013 GMC Sierra from last update has already received a new trim. A special edition Denali crew cab. Pretty neat lifted version of the regular Denali with some nuts power figures. There's a reason it costs $83,000. For the two limited vehicles, first of all, the special edition 2023 Cadillac Escalade. There's one trim for this, one rim option, and one color option for $120,000. A lowered Escalade on huge rims. Pretty nice looking Escalade to be fair. It's got some massive rims. I don't particularly care for these rims, but I think it looked kind of cool. Just lowered like this with some different rims on it. I might do something kind of interesting with this. Let's hear it. Very quiet. Spare under there. Lights. Regular Escalade stuff. Got a 10 speed. Not the fastest. Almost there. Alright. Brakes, I'm assuming, will not be very good, but actually, that's not too bad for an Escalade. Not too bad. Then the second limited. Lamborghini is back in Greenville, kind of. It's a RAV4. It's a RAV4 with a Urus body kit on it and a Urus engine swap. There's one trim and a couple different rim options, just a bunch of different Lamborghini rim options, a bunch of Lamborghini color options as well. It's Lamborghini, obviously. It's nothing else. $65,000, which is an absolute steal. It is absurd, the value of this thing. No pass, obviously, because it's a limited, and it's only $65,000. If you want something insanely fast to just smoke everyone with for a cheap price, relatively, this is 100% it. There's never been a better deal than this in Greenville in terms of what you get for performance. It's just a normal RAV4 with a body kit on it. It's genuinely just a RAV4. It's got smoked out taillights. Besides that, actually, the back is too different. Besides the quad exhaust tips, the front end, it's actually funny how much it does look like a Urus. The headlights kind of mimic it. The sounds are just straight off of a Urus. It's so fast that it's like they took all of the Lamborghinis and then put the engines into this RAV4 and then sold it for $65,000. I don't know why it's this cheap. Price it is for the performance does not add up. This thing is already just a monster and I'm in drive mode. People should not be trusted with this much speed in GV. Oh, including myself. Tops out at 172, so it's not insane on the top end, but the acceleration is just... This does have launch control. Oh, let's beat the plane. I have enough room to speed up to probably top speed and then brake down to 100. Oh, yep. I just went to top speed and then braked and then went down to 100. Yeah. If you can afford it and you want something speedy, this is your option. They put like all the Lamborghini engines horsepower into one and then put it into this Urus. Urus. Just a normal car, nothing would ever be suspected from it. I told you guys GMT 100s were not done being added to Greenville, and yeah, I wasn't lying. There's still more. But for now, we've got new Tahoes and new Suburbans and a lot of them. 4 different listings in the dealership: the 2001 Chevy Tahoe, the 2001 Chevy Suburban, the 2001 Chevy Suburban HD, and the 2001 Chevy Tahoe WSP. Let's start off with the Tahoe. We got the beater, which is pretty cool because it has some aftermarket LED taillights, has a bunch of cool damage to it. Probably one of the most interesting beaters yet. The LS, got some fender flares. The SS, the LT Dark Wolf Lifted Edition, yes. The LT, the Z71, and the base. This, along with the beater, are literally the only rear-wheel drive ones out of the batch. Now for the regular Suburban. Starts out with the LS, a pretty basic Suburban, black fender flares, the LS barn door tailgate in the back. It also gains plastic mirrors opposed to the regular LS for some reason. The LT, a bit more to offer than the lower trims, like color matched door handles and fender flares along with the sunroof. Then the LT barn door, adds barn doors for a little extra money over the standard LT. And then the basically top of the line one, most expensive anyway, the Z71. The more off-road ready trim with some different bumpers and wheels and whatnot. Now for probably the coolest one though, the HD Suburban. Starts off with a basic LS trim, the only 2-wheel drive one of the bunch, not even side molding, fender flares, or roof rack on this one, just a bare bones old 6.0. For a few extra grand, you can get a barn door version of the LS, which adds not only the barn doors, but also side molding, fender flares, fog lights, cab lights, tow mirrors, and a roof rack. For way more money than that though, you can get an LS Quadra steer. Mixes a bit of those last two together with some of the added features of the barn door trim, while also leaving the regular mirrors, and of course adding 4-wheel steering, which can be spotted by the wider rear fender flares. The flares have side markers on them as well. Moving up the chain a bit, here's the LT. Some color match stuff along with the sunroof, still using the 6.0 in all of its 10 mpg glory. But want to have an even bigger engine that can make the mileage go down? Well, you're in luck. How about the LT Quadrosteer with the 8100 big block? The amount of odd combinations you can get in GMT 100s is, well, kind of crazy. But yeah, that's a real thing that you could buy from GM. What isn't real, though, is this last trim, the Duraburban, an LBZ Duramax swapped Suburban, seemingly based off an LS since it doesn't have a sunroof. It does have color matched flares though, but anyway, head on over to the specs tab and it says it has 72 horsepower. Oh no, it's a little faster than that. Let me show you. Check this thing out. A Duramax swapped Suburban. Has the 1500 front end since GM for some reason didn't put the 2500 truck front ends on this. I don't really know why, but yeah, still has the old front end. Has the fender flares, you know, the cab lights up top, tow mirrors, and here's the underside, which doggone did put a bunch of detail under here. Some huge tires, the barn doors in the back, and some of doggone's new trucks, I believe all the HD versions of Suburban have this, the tow hitch in the back. And listen to that spool down, that's nice. These trucks don't actually have the same tune as the pickup trucks for some reason. Doggone redid them, and I think he's going to be updating the pickup trucks at some point as well. Constantly improving the GMT 100s, and the last ones were added like 4 months ago. It is fast. Let's see how this thing does on the 0 to 100 in braking test. Insane launch with that 4-wheel drive. Already up to 70. 100, no problem. Brakes are not the best, but it's a Duramax Suburban. Next up, the remodeled C8 Corvette. And it's kind of weird because I remember the first talk about these things being remodeled was around last Halloween update. Like, I have the image in my head when the graveyard first got added. It's here 1 year later, because I think the Z06 was literally revealed 1 year ago today. This thing desperately needed a remodel. It was one of the first C8 models, I think, on Roblox. Came out in GB3. It's been a while since it's been updated. Sky redid the whole thing. Here are the trims on the Stingray alone, the 1LT, the 2LT Z51, and the 3LT Z51. Here are the specs. 390 horsepower across the board here. And then moving on to the Z06, the 3LZ, and the 3LZ Z07 package. I'm gonna go ahead and get the 3LZ because it kind of looks cleaner. I'm gonna get with these rims. Everybody gets the carbon ones, but I'll get base with black. That looks pretty nice. All right, let's check it out. Amplify orange. Here is the new Z06, the flat plane crank, first ever mid-engine Z06. How wide this car is. The lip spoiler in the back, Corvette logo, detailed engine bay. I like these wheels. Just a super nice looking car. It's really cool to finally have it in game. The sound is what a lot of people talk about in this car, so let's get into it. Has the sequentials in the back. I completely forgot about that actually. Like, this car has been in the works for so long. I've been hearing about this car for a long time, being in the modeling stages, but just seeing it in game now is awesome. Brakes, all right, brakes are already pretty good. Let's test it out truly here. Absolutely no problems to 100 there, and get ready for the brakes. That is very good. Alright, I think this car passed all the tests with flying colors. This car kind of fits with the theme too, since it's orange. And then the final vehicle, the 2024 Chevy Silverado EV. There are 3 trims for this thing. The WT for just under $40,000, the RST for $105,000, in my opinion, literally the ugliest looking one, and the Trail Boss, which actually, I mean, I guess looks kind of cool, for just under $70,000. I guess I'll be picking this one up. I'll get it in white, sure, why not? Here it is. I was really not expecting this to come out. I had no clue there's gonna be an EV Silverado. This might be like the first EV Silverado 3 model in any Roblox game. I wouldn't be surprised. Also, why didn't they just call this an Avalanche? Because it's literally an Avalanche. Avalanche Gen 3, basically. Looks kind of cool, but weird at the same time. I don't know. It's interesting. Let's hear how great it sounds. It probably has like a V12 or something, you know? Pretty good sounding. All right, lights. Is that 4-wheel steering? Oh yeah, it does. Go. There's actually a pretty good launch. Maybe it does have launch control, I don't know. Yeah, I think these brakes are literally worse than the Suburban. I guess it's a pretty darn heavy truck with all the battery weight. That right there is a Silverado EV. I would be impressed if there was one in another game. And with that, that's the 2022 Greenville Halloween update. There wasn't 5 million cars in this update, but the ones we got were honestly pretty cool. A good bit of variety for just 16 cars. The Halloween event looks pretty interesting, yet to complete it myself so far. If you want to take a deeper look into the event without playing it yourself, I guess, the game page has a Halloween event teaser trailer. Yeah, that's all I got. Neat update. See ya.